Hello everybody, Andrew Blake from the digitalaudiomanual.com. Today let's talk about some MIDI note editing tips in Cubase. So editing MIDI notes in Cubase can be approached in a number of different ways. Today I want to talk about some of the basic moves that you're going to encounter over and over again and hopefully make them a little clearer and easier to understand. In order to edit some MIDI notes in Cubase, we actually need something recorded, so let's record a few things. We'll play this little example and add some MIDI notes in. Once you've recorded some MIDI notes, you can just double-click on the part, and it opens up in what's called the key editor. When you're working in the key editor, you may click on a note and won't hear it because up on top on the toolbar, there's a button that stands for acoustic feedback, and you have to have that turned on. Once that's on and then you click on a note, then you get to hear the note. In its most basic form, when you're using this pointer, which is called the object tool, and anytime you just grab a note, click on it, and freely move it wherever you want, up or down. You can do the same thing with multiple notes if you click and drag over all of them first. Then you can grab them and move them. If you want to grab your notes but not have them move around left to right, but only up and down, if you hold your control key as you move your notes, as you click and drag and then move it, I can only go up and down. I can't move things left to right. On the other hand, if I start right from where I'm at and hold control, I can ignore any kind of grid restriction and move it exactly where I want it, left or right. One nice way to move your notes around in this key editor is to make your selection, then use the arrow on your keyboard to move up or down. You have an option in Cubase called Nudge, which allows you to move your notes around in various ways, either make them longer or shorter, or move them along the grid. Typically, there's a toolbar that allows you to do these nudging moves. It also has 3 little dots, which may hide some of the controls from view. The shortcut keys for this, if you haven't changed them, is a set of key commands that will be very valuable for you to memorize if you don't know this already. Let me take this one note and move it down a little bit, just to isolate it from view. If we want to nudge this note so the length of it moves to the left, if I hold my Alt key and then move my left arrow, that note will continue to move to the left, increasing its length. If I continue to hold the Alt key, but now move the right arrow key, it will nudge backwards and shorten its length, even shorter than it was originally if I want. If I hold Alt and Shift together and then use my right arrow, I can then increase this note to the right, and it makes the note longer that way if I need to. Continuing to hold Alt and Shift, then I can bring that note back to its length again. If you hold the Control key and then use either your left or right arrow, you can move that note by whatever the quantized value is, left or right. This is a very useful operation to commit to memory and know how to do. And that applies to multiple notes as well. If I select all of these notes, hold Control and move to the left, I can move all of those notes at the same time by quantized increments, or move them back again. You have a couple of options for moving notes in the Edit toolbar. I'm going to move my cursor over to this position, and then with these notes selected, if I go up to Edit, down to a category that says Move, I can take this option that says Range to the start of the cursor. And that takes all those notes, moves them together to where the cursor begins. You have a variation on that. If you go to Edit and back to Move, you can take the range end to the cursor. That will take all those notes, keep them together the way they were, have them end wherever the cursor is. A great option when your project gets longer, and you want to move something from bar 3 to bar 100, you can simply move your cursor and take that option. Those particular options under Move can also have key commands assigned to them to make them very quick operations. All right, let's talk about the info bar. If we look up by the toolbar, which is all these different icons, right now below it, it says no object selected, and there's no information here. Once you select a note, then we get all this information on what's called the info bar. The longer you use Cubase, the more you're going to wind up using this info bar, because you're going to learn that the info bar is not just information, but it allows you to change your MIDI data in so many ways. Typically on most of the info bars that you're going to encounter, you're going to see something like this that we see over here on the left-hand side. In this case, it says start, end, and length. And it shows these 4 decimal places. And this will confuse you over and over again, trying to get a handle on what these 4 decimal places are. Let's look at some examples of what these do. If you look at this note right now, and above it, it's at measure 35. Go to this first start field and turn the very first number, which says 35, and turn it to 36. My note jumps from this bar all the way to this bar. Then if I turn it back, it brings the note all the way back to the bar before it. If I go to the next number, which in this case shows number 1, and I start spinning that, you're going to see each one of these kind of white grid lines. The note is going to progress to each one of those. I'm going to go to number 2, finally onto the next bar, and it starts over again. Then I can go backwards. If I go to this next decimal place, which says number 1, and I start turning that, you're going to see various increments as this note goes along. Then I can spin it backwards. And the final decimal place here, which says 0, if I start turning that and look at the note, it's going to move in very small increments. 120 is a number that occurs over and over again when you're dealing with MIDI, and this final number is divided in 120. But you're never going to see the numbers 120. You're always going to see the number 0 going all the way up to 119. Just 120 increments, but 0 is basically 1. So if I start spinning this up, this is going to go all the way up to 119. And as I approach 119, I go one little notch past that, and it goes back to 0, and the number next to it goes to number 2. If you take a little time and experiment with these numbers and see how they affect the movement of your notes, you're going to find that was time well spent. Let me give you some examples of where these things can really help you with your music production. Cubase comes with Iconic, a sketch. I have it opened in Halion, and I have a violin sound here. And right now the articulation is on sustain. And when I play this, it's a real soft note. It can be adjusted with the modulation wheel. But if I move to the articulation that says staccato, you get that sharp hit for the string. I've created 5 or 6 tracks here, making use of the violin, viola, the cello, and the bass from the Iconic sketch. Let me play these parts so you can hear them, starting with the violin. Adding the other ones. And that sounds really good. It has a nice orchestral sound to it. Of course, the Iconic sketch has some great sounds in general. But if you listen to it closely, and it takes a minute to kind of understand this, the strings kind of have a lazy sound to them. If I open one of them up in the key editor, everything is exactly on the grid. Quantize is very strong, so when the notes play right on the grid. If we take these higher strings, the violins and the viola, leave the cello and the bass out of this, then we go up to that info bar with our 4 decimal places, we start spinning this very last one. What's going to happen is all these string parts, in a very slight way, are going to start moving ahead of the beat. All the MIDI notes are going to be shifted a little bit ahead of the beat. Listen to what that does to the overall realism of these strings. I'm going to play it and spin it up a little bit. Right now I have it at about 95. It's been moved up about 10 different ticks into the future for these higher strings, and these lower strings remained where they're at. Of course, the other VST instruments are still where they're at. Listen to the difference that does in the realism of these strings now. Learning how to manipulate these kind of things on the info line can change everything in the way your music production sounds. From some kind of mechanical MIDI to something that almost sounds like the real thing. Basically a symphony hall full of real musicians playing their own stringed instruments. So just a couple of other options I want to leave you with. When you're looking at your MIDI parts, if you take your range tool and make a range of some kind, go up to edit and down to the option that says range. You have an option in the middle that says split. I'm not sure if these are default key commands, but I'm pretty sure they are. This one says Shift X. And if I do that, then I can cut a piece right out of that MIDI part. You have another option where if you put your cursor someplace and go to edit and down to the option that says functions, then you can split it at the cursor. That one's Alt X and allows you to make a cut right there. And then you have this interesting option that if you make a selection with your range, then you can go to edit and back down to functions. You have one that says split the loop, and that makes a cut on every single track that's within the loop range. Once you've made cuts like that, you could switch to your glue tool, click on any one of these events, and it will glue them back together. So then you have one piece. If you make a range, try to drag it out. It only brings out the actual range. It doesn't affect the event underneath it. They gave us a new update with the range tool in that way. If we go to our preferences, under editing, we also have this option now that says range tool splits the partly selected events. If I check that and say OK, if I make a range now, I can drag it out and it will bring the event out there with it. So lots of great options when you want to make basic MIDI edits and get your production set up just the way you want it. So take those tips, put them to work for you. Learn all the ways you can speed up your music editing skills. And as always, go make some great music with it. And then I'll see you on the next video. All right, it's going to wrap it up for today. As always, if you haven't already, click the link in the description of this video to learn how you can get access to the all-new Digital Audio Manual Preferred. It's the clear, step-by-step solution showing you not only the tips, but all the secret and typically never talked about features that'll take you to a higher level of using your software. If you've been searching for an all-in-one solution to take you from start to finish and learning Cubase and Wavelab and other music software, this is exactly what you've been looking for. So click on the link in the description and come and be part of the clear path to a better learning experience. So today we had a look at some MIDI note editing and different kinds of shortcuts. We began looking at the Object Select tool and different ways we can move our notes around, whether it's vertical or horizontal, how we can use the arrows to move notes around, and all the different nudging options that are available, different ways to move our notes to the cursor. We got into a discussion of the info line and the 4 decimal place area that changes the bar, the beat, 16th note, and all the little ticks in between, and how you can use that to add some realism to string sections and other parts like that. And then we finished off talking about how we can split some of our MIDI parts, whether it be at the cursor or different ranges. Then we talked about the option to split a partially selected range. And we'll continue to move through all these different features and functions and all the creative tools that are available to us. As always, it's great to have you guys here, and I'll see you on the next video.